called Megiddo today, and it is very, very hot and rather beautiful. By the way, just in passing, so it's Family Day in Ontario and a holiday in many provinces. I'm driving to work early this morning because I work terribly hard, and there's not much traffic about. Parkside, those of you who know Toronto, it's by High Park. Usually there's so much traffic you can barely move at all. You could never go over the 50 speed limit, but today there's not much traffic. There's nobody about. There are no human beings anywhere. And it'd be very hard to go much above 50, but you could, I suppose. And there's a major highway at the bottom of this street. Guy flashes his lights. I know what that means, obviously. There are two cops. Now, you shouldn't go over the speed limit, obviously, but there's nobody about, and it wouldn't be a major problem. But on this holiday, there are two cops standing there trying to pull people over to give them a ticket. And I'm listening to the radio, and they're telling me about what, maybe a kilometre away, just to the north, a 15-year-old kid has been shot dead. That's why we love the police so much. They do the important work. Anyway, you heard all those comments about no one cares about the church anymore and the Pope resigning and we're all indifferent. Have a look at this picture, please. Have a look at this picture now. Take me off the screen for a minute because I want to look at the picture. And if I look at the picture, I'm going to be off camera. So that's right. We could expand on this too. There are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, and this is Rome alone. Millions of people care. Every time someone on TV says, well, the people don't go to church anymore, what they mean is they don't go to church anymore. Anyway, now let's move on from sublime to ridiculous. Look, if a group of business people, real estate agents, I don't know, disabled ice cream salesmen for that matter, are dumb and rich enough to pay $15,000 and more to listen to the inanities of Justin Trudeau, well, that's their business, isn't it? It would dent my faith in the wisdom of business types, real estate agents, and the handicapped confectionery community, but that's not really the point. What is directly pertinent here is that dozens of publicly funded organizations paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, your dollars, to the shiny pony, the Dauphin, the empty vessel, and the empty head, the vacant space covered in cute curly hair, though he's had a haircut, hasn't he? Let's ignore for a few moments the literacy groups, the universities, the mental health institutions, and talk about high schools. Teachers and teachers' unions are constantly crying poverty, but now we have the list, came out last week, of Trudeau's speaking engagements over the past few years. And we see the astronomical amounts he was paid by these publicly funded schools. The average fee here is about, well, it's between $10,000 and $20,000. Plus, by the way, expenses. And he doesn't travel cheap. Now, a third of that probably goes to the speaking agent, people who do very little for a great deal. So that's just going to those people. Trudeau almost certainly gives the same 2 or 3 speeches over and over again. I'm not criticizing him, many people do that. He has little experience of the world, or of politics, or life. So his only qualification is that, well, Daddy was Prime Minister, and that women of limited intellect seem to go all gooey when he walks into the room. I've seen it. Oh, and because he is a social liberal who says the right things to lefty teachers and so on. Now, a better man, seriously, a better man would reject the fee and only ask for expenses, which would be understandable. A better school would say that this is not really their money and that they have a duty to spend it wisely, perhaps on, oh, I don't know, kids who need books. A better system would prevent this urinating away of your tax dollars. Oh, golly. The situation in the Catholic school system is even worse because little Justin is an active and aggressive opponent of Catholic Church teaching and thinks abortion and same-sex marriage, contraceptives and church bashing are all great fun. You might believe that, fine, but Waterloo Catholic Board, Waterloo Catholic School Board paid him $15,000. Ontario Catholic School Trustees Association paid him $7,000. French Canadian School Council paid him $7,500. Notre Dame School paid him $10,000, and on and on and on. It's a different world out there, one of incredible privilege and assumptions of wealth and comfort. Look, in his partial defense, Trudeau is not alone. Look at how much money universities with your money will give to talking head CBC types, to people who have nothing to say but want a fortune to say it. To those people who say, well, it's a good gig if you can get it, and why not if they will pay? Yeah, the same way, I suppose, theft and adultery are fine if you can get away with them. Look, boy Trudeau is independently wealthy. He doesn't need the money. He could say to a school or university, no, give the money to a scholarship for a poor kid, buy some books, some laptops, even a scholarship in my name. No, he just says, yes, 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 here's where you send the check. And now, of course, what is really happening is that people are buying his friendship because he's running to be Liberal leader. They think he might be the next Prime Minister. You're not ready for prime time, Justin, but you could, of course, afford to buy some prime time, couldn't you?
And I have to say, Justin, you keep referring to the middle class. You yourself have admitted that you actually don't belong to the middle class. I find it a little challenging to understand how you would understand the challenges facing real Canadians. But when did Canada...
You know what? That question... No, hang on, Martha. You just asked me a question.
When did Canada become
You just asked me. I've been lucky in my life to have been given an opportunity to go to great schools, to travel around the world. And what is important for me is to put everything that I've received, like each of us wants to, in service of my community. And that is what my identity is all about.
You bloody liar. You bloody liar. If that's true, why did you take the fees from the speaking engagements, from the public sector, from the taxpayer, and put them in your bank account? When you were given $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for a 40-minute speech, if that, and all expenses covered, why didn't you say to the high schools, why didn't you say to the literary societies, the mental health associations, look, give me $500, for goodness sake. You know, okay, the rest of the money, put it back, put it back. This is important work. Just spare me, Justin. You have tangible, palpable ambition, okay? Fine. You're a member of, forgive me, the Lucky Sperm Club. Your dad was who he was. You have done nothing. You're a decent enough guy, I'm sure, but you've done nothing. Why do you think you were asked to speak 2-3 years ago? Because you were such an impressive person? No, because you're Trudeau's son. Don't give us this crap about service of the community. You took that money, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, much of it from public institutions, from the taxpayer for speaking engagements. Chris Sims joins us now from lovely Nova Scotia. Chris, I mean, apologies if I seem rather angry, but I've heard this nonsense so many times, and it's the hypocrisy more than anything. It just appalls me.
It appalls a lot of people, Michael. And what I find really interesting about this particular issue involving Mr. Trudeau, I don't call people by their first names unless I know them, but involving Mr. Trudeau is that this is finally something tangible that people can really get a foothold on in criticizing Trudeau. Up until now, I've found that a lot of the criticisms of Trudeau have been personality-based. You know, they don't like him. They're calling him, you know, airheaded or rich or privileged, that sort of thing. But when you came right down to it, he still had an appeal with the little old ladies going to vote and people who went to see him. Some people can't explain it, especially people who work on Parliament Hill in that political paddock all the time and deal with substantive issues. But people still liked him. He drew crowds. People said they'd vote for him. I even have family members who are the bluest of the blue collar who've said, yeah, I'd vote for him, who aren't really plugged into politics. But this one, the idea of charging $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to schools where he's been a previous teacher, to charities, like you said, to mental health institutions. This is something that while the ethics commissioner might have magically rubber stamped it for him, it bugs average people. And when you ask them about it, they'll say, yeah, why? You know, lots of MPs go to visit and speak to people. They don't draw the crowds that Justin Trudeau does, but that's just a difference of personality. Why is it that you took the money and kept it? Now, he was upfront about it. He put it all in that one newspaper article that he was able to give. But I think this is something now, finally, that people can criticize him for and not have it backfire on them. They won't look like the mean conservative bullies anymore.
Now, Martha Hall-Finley, and I know Martha relatively well. She was on my old show, I don't know, must have been dozens of times over the years.
Yes.
Raised a family. She was, by the way, an Olympic-level skier, businesswoman. I don't agree with her politically, but she's impressive. And I think it was out of frustration. She said, you don't know what it's like. You keep on talking about the middle class. I mean, everything, you know, global warming, the Middle East, cheese manufacturing, the middle class, the middle class. That's all he ever says. He has no sense, he has no idea, and I don't begrudge him this, but let's be realistic, of what it's like to wake up in the morning and not know if you are going to keep the house, if you can pay the mortgage, if you can pay for the kids' education, if you have to lose the car. He has no idea. He could never comprehend that. So don't pretend otherwise. I think she was just so angry, because she has had to, that she said to him, for goodness sake, and now she's had to apologize?
That's stunning. I'm surprised that she apologized. I mean, finally, they get into... Here's the apology. She actually posted this on her website, believe it or not. There are some who I believe overstepped a line in the leadership debate. To Justin, his family, and to those who were offended, I apologize. But why? Why does she need to apologize? I guess the political answer is, Michael, is that she was booed by that crowd, by even making a point, by having an exacting point with Mr. Trudeau and saying, you don't know what you're bloody well talking about. You're trying to represent a group that you don't have any connection to. They booed her, and then they cheered him. And just after he answers, he leaves the stage. Yeah. It was a strange situation. Did you see that part where he answers and then he finishes with a flourish and then leaves? And meanwhile, there's two women standing behind the podium still waiting to have their say. He did have to come back and stand there with the rest of the leadership candidates.
He's an arrogant, spoilt drama queen, and that was his bit of flamboyance. And you know, it's incredible that a Liberal Party boos an independent woman who has made her own way in life and wants to lead the Liberal Party, and cheers a spoilt kid whose dad happened to be a womanizing Prime Minister, frankly. And, of course, standing next to him on the other side of him is one of those women. The whole thing is grotesque on so many levels. And, of course, if a Conservative Party did this, it will be open season on them.
Oh, certainly. I mean, we wouldn't see this kind of... And it is a strange spectacle, having him debate a woman who he's kind of almost related to in some way. It was an odd situation. But I think this proves, Michael, that this is a coronation. Yeah. That the fact that they would boo, like you said, a woman who is independent and accomplished, and a mother and who has worked. I mean, I used to watch her on your old show as well. She's an impressive woman. Yeah. And that they booed her because they like him. They can't explain why sometimes, but they like him. I think this just proves that it is indeed a coronation, even if Marc Garneau will turn around point blank and say, what have you done with your life that qualifies you to be Prime Minister? Yeah. And for him to not really have an answer. It's proof. I think it's proof that within the party it's a coronation. Yeah. And publicly, politically, on the campaign trail, yeah. I think he's going to be a popular person. There's a reason why these polls are saying this.
Chris, as ever, an enormous pleasure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.